What's good, everybody? My name is Alckemy, and if this is the first time to your channel, I'd like to give you a warm welcome. I have a website up above that has a lot of products available to support this channel, and also just a simple subscription or comments or interaction with my channel is a big help and a big thing that would be appreciated. With that out of the way, we're going to be covering the sound that you all just heard. The process is relatively simple, but we're going to be taking advantage of the sampler within Bitwig because it has a unique function that I think is pretty powerful compared to other granular synths. So the main thing that we want to kind of focus on is that we have the ability to import multiple samples into our granular engine, and the fact that we can all turn that and manipulate it at once means that we can get some interesting textures out of it. So pretty much what you want to do is just go and download a free Foley pack of any means whatsoever. Cymatics has a bunch, and all you have to do is make sure that you right click this and go into multi-mode, or multi-sample mode rather. From here, you can just drag some samples in over to the left, and you have playback options in between whenever you select between each one. So what I've done is I've made sure that all of these are going to kind of loop in one way or another, and from here we have the ability to kind of just let this play in the pocket, which already sounds pretty cool. So one thing that is going to make this immediately more inspiring is that we can change this into texture mode and put this on freeze. Now what I've gone and done is added a randomizer on here that's just going to kind of cycle through the texture mode. And so what's going to happen is the playhead is going to sit in one spot and repeat, and then just kind of move back and forth in between. So between all of these samples playing back in a granular mode, we're already getting some pretty interesting textures. What you can also do is set up a randomizer on the grain size if you wanted to, and even the motion size. But for now, I kind of want to manipulate this by hand, as I'll show you later how this can be advantageous. So from here, it's all about just giving ourselves some processing. And what we're going to do is just start with some distortion, which is just a little bit of saturation. I made that a lot louder, sorry. Chorus is next. From here, just make sure that the low pass is all the way up, and then you can kind of just turn the mix to whatever taste you want. We'll talk about the pitch shifter last, and the slice EQ last as well, but for now, let's go to the phaser. So from here, this is just kind of the default settings that I have for my default preset, which the high pass filter is all the way down and the frequency is sleeping the low mids with 4 poles. And then the next thing is reverb. This is ROM. You can just use the first party reverb on Bitwig. It actually sounds pretty good, but for me, I just have gotten used to the sound of this and I tend to enjoy it by quite a bit. And then finally, I've got a compressor on here to try to soft clip the top and then just add a little bit of crunch to it. So one thing to keep in mind whenever you're doing this is that if you come into here and click on this, then that means that you're going to place it into like keyboard mode. So that means that playing a different pitch is going to give you a different sound. And the way that this works is kind of cool because when you're in granular mode, normally the speed of the sample would play in accordance to the pitch, but this is kind of independent because everything is dictated towards the playhead of texture mode. So you still get some interesting stuff either way. So to take everything a step further, the next thing that I want to show you is using a parametric EQ with some notches, with some band boosts. And what I've done is set up a couple randomizers here that's just going to kind of sweep these. Now, once you do this, you kind of want to be careful because you're pushing resonances really hard. So it's really important to either use a limiter or to use an OTT to try to balance some of those out. But you still can end up getting some really cool textural things that have kind of like a sting quality to them. So finally, the last effect that we can mess with is the pitch shifter, and there's quite a bit that you can do with this, but the way that I usually use it is just by turning this all the way down and then maybe messing with the grain size. You can also mess with the pitch. And that's pretty much it. As far as possibilities goes, one other thing that I want to show you is that you can end up getting something almost entirely different just by turning this grain mode into something dark. Into a smaller grain. And so what you would do is you would kind of do a combination of playing a low note with a really small grain size. So take a listen. As you can tell, like, it starts to give you like some really cool, like almost like monster qualities, right? It's almost like a giant monster in a dungeon or something. So finally, if you want to just add a bunch of variation, then you can add a randomizer to the grain size here, which is what I've done. And that way you'll get just a lot of different motion and movements from everything together. Sick, man. I could listen to that all day. It's just like really cool things. And of course, like depending on what you throw into this, it's going to depend, but it's just a really cool way to get some interesting texture. You can also throw like a single tone into here, like let's say an F, and then pitch it accordingly, but you can kind of figure that out on your own. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys like this stuff, I have a pack on my website for $5 called Ash that just has a bunch of different soundscapes. But that's just if you don't feel like making one of your own. And, you know, again, it's just options, right? That's pretty much it for you guys for this video. I hope that you enjoy my content, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.